Peace. What is good, y'all? Ephraim back here again, man. We back on the channel, and I want to come with another special message for y'all from the liminal space, man, from the in-between stage. And I want to talk today about self-concept. I want to talk about the way that, for me, first and foremost, the way I've been viewing myself, the way that I now view myself versus how I used to in the past. It's wild. Like, we well into 2026, and yeah, it sounds normal. I'm ready for it. It's not like that off-putting, but I'm realizing I'll think about the past, but I don't really reflect too much. I don't really reflect often as maybe I could on what are my takeaways, right? And sometimes I don't really give myself the best. I'll say the best or the utmost proper validation for my growth, right? From where I used to exist and how far I've come from that. And I think when we look at the previous years, it's easy to say, okay, maybe these are some things that I did in the year that I like and what I didn't like. I just have to say, for me, like, there was so much that transpired. Like, I took a lot of bold steps and decisions, being in a new place. Like, I know if y'all on the journey with me, you already know, like, I left my hometown, which is Buffalo, New York. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. You feel me, right now. And it's not the first time I left home, but it was very much on time and purposeful this time around. Granted, I have to say, like, I feel like my life has always been very much about purpose. Like, I've always given, how do I put it? I don't know, because I want to say, like, I've always given main character energy, but it's not even about me necessarily being a main character. It's always been the main story. How about we say that, right? I've always been the type of person to where it's like, what is the goal? What is the mission? I'm here to achieve that. And it wasn't until, I would say, really this past year, especially starting in 2025, where I started to undertake more of, or I guess just be more intentional about the side quests, if you will. And the funny thing about that is, like, the side quests has really been a lot more of what's built my character, especially as of late, actually. And that's so funny, man. That's so funny because, if I talk from my personal experience, for me, being a person, like, I have an excellent mother. She's always pushed me and been intentional about where she's wanted me to go and grow as well. But it's like she still had the caveat of, she's a single mother, right? My father passed, deceased from colon cancer. She had to raise me and two daughters, primarily on her own volition, like, just, I guess, being there physically. Even though we have family members. I have my grandmother. My grandmother, now I believe she also did have education, like, on my mom's side. Like, she went to a school. So my mom's like kind of second generation, college graduate. But she really took on a lot. You feel me? And now where it comes to me, I think what that says is that I want the absolute best for my son. I want to make sure I'm giving him the best resources, the best schooling. My mom is a public school teacher still, just got her master's. So she's like, I want the best for my son, right? And a lot of the notion, the demestocation, if you will, the programming that was in my mind was like, okay, I need to be this version of myself, because this is what my family needs from me. This is what my mother requires from me. This is what's gonna help us, and myself included, be successful, right? And it's going to please and validate everybody, essentially. And now, arriving at a place where in 2025, I had the first role ever for myself as a full-time salary engineer. So post-grad, after getting my bachelor's in packaging science, I became a manufacturing engineer. And I had an internship. I actually had a few internships before that. 3 different companies. 2 were Fortune 500 companies. They weren't in my hometown, Buffalo. They were in New England, in the Massachusetts, Rhode Island area, New Hampshire. And then when I got back home, that's when I was working with, a more startup company, but they were in energy fuel cells, doing cool things. I learned a lot just from what was going on there. Learned a lot of things, again, that I don't want to, emulate. I don't want to emulate the ways that I don't want to be disorganized or out of touch, right? And because I'm big on always people first, right? So I just saw the disconnects, even for myself, and ultimately was laid off from an internship. And then the last job that I had as an engineer, it was pretty cool. It was, it was a great company. I won't even go into detail about them, but they make pasta and meatballs. It was a dope opportunity, and it pushed me, But what I quickly noticed is that it pushed me to grow in many directions, and a lot of which I appreciated, right, as far as my organizational skills, my project management, my readiness, and actually just my willingness to embrace the unknown and not be ready. However, there's a other side that I didn't want to grow in, and I think that goes again back to domestication, indoctrination, and even in a sense like stifling my creativity. So that would be assimilation. And I'm just not one to assimilate. As a natural born creator and an artist, I like to draw outside the lines. Like, I like to be out of the box. I like to embrace the unknown, but in my own way, and be innovative. And a lot of times when people either have, or even if they're establishing certain systems in the place, right? I know this for myself culturally. I say, as a melanated person in America, right, coming up within Black culture, I know we have the tendency to be like, hey, we're going to integrate these systems, and then we're going to dismantle them from the inside out. Truthfully, that's how I perceive a lot of the narrative. But my thing and my thinking, and I know a lot of my ancestors who might agree more so with how I view it, and how they viewed it back then, is that that's not always the best way to go about it. People, we just had MLK Day, and shout out Martin Luther King Jr., the great Reverend. He even had a large change of heart, which isn't well documented within American culture, right? For a reason. It's not really shown how he kind of transitioned, and even when he felt like he sold his people a dream, which was, I think, more or less, that was his words. Even if I'm paraphrasing, more or less, that's what he said. He felt like he sold his community, his people, a dream by integrating into something that wasn't designed for them. So, that being said, when I think about my miseducation and me, going to school, getting a job, and falling into line with this place and doing everything for everyone else, and looking to integrate myself into an environment which isn't and wasn't divine. Wasn't divine, excuse me. But nah, for real, that's how it came out. Wasn't divine and wasn't designed for me. And that being said, I know I'm a divine person, right? I'm a divine being. So if other people aren't there pursuing divinity with me or embodying divinity, it's misalignment. Simple as that. And I guess that was the more of the hard task of when I think about working and existing and being in a place where, like, for normal people, quite frankly, just putting it that way, for people who live within normalities and they desire comfort, that might work for them. But I am quite literally an extraordinary person. So for that reason, I decided to move myself. A lot of it has been subconsciously, but little by little, I think it was, though, even in the beginning, consciously until it became subconscious. But it all started with a feeling, an inner knowing of me being like, I'm not meant to be in this environment. And yeah, if you're aware, I've always been an aware person, even more so than just myself, like even just my environment. You feel the projections of other people. And granted, one of the things that I'm learning with, right, even if you know the book, The Four Agreements, I'm listening to also the audio for that, and the Fifth Agreement, which I believe is by the son of the author. I don't know if it's San Pueblo. I don't want to mistake his name, but I'm pretty sure it's him and his son. And the Fifth Agreement, and if y'all know, 5 is my number. It's so funny that this book has all to do with self, right? And it's in between space and stage, self and the self concept. This is like redesigning self. And I feel like a big theme for me, even on this channel, how I really got started in my journey this past year, was the mind design of reprogramming my subconscious mind, right? Hence, like, reading things from like Dr. Joe Dispenza with the Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which I didn't even think I was gonna like it at first. I didn't even want to get the book because my mind was like so against the change and like, why can't I be myself? But then when I really listen and see what he's talking about, it's like, oh wow, it's really getting back to the original self. And I feel like that's what a lot of content, things that I'm taking in, things that I'm seeing and becoming more aware of, and just messages all around me, is this getting back to my original self. And so it's just so funny that the self-concept that I've had for years, somewhere along the line, I don't know what age, but I probably have some idea of when I begin to become indoctrinated with a program for domestication. So follow me. It's like saying indoctrination, like I was led to believe and just kind of coerced that, okay, this is the program, right? And a lot of time our family, friends, parents, they put us on a program. Schooling, education, it's all a program to make you a functioning citizen, right? But that model that of that functioning citizen, as we realize in this day and age, is very much outdated, to our current society. So being leaders of a new world, a new society, it's like we have to come up with new constructs, new ideas. Constructs aren't bad. It's just about, what do you intend to create? Like, what do you want it to be? And so now thinking about that, thinking about the journey of manifestation, what am I looking to create every day, right? As God that I am, right? As the creator, I'm a creator, literally an engineer, and I'm made in the image and likeness of God, right? The Most High Creator. And being a part of that, being a child of God, it's like, It's funny how people say like it's all love and light, and for me it really is. Even though it's so funny, I just heard a message earlier like it's peace and love. But some people, some people take it for granted. Some people take it how they want to. And I've been learning a lot of my days how vigilant I can be and how I am. And I've just really been doing an intake of how much of my own personal suffering even in my reality have I manifested and have I created. Granted, this is not to say, just like many of us, right? It's not to say it's all my fault, because again, when you're indoctrinated and when you're programmed to think a certain way, and especially if that programming is trauma, like I observe my family now and I see the different things, observe patterns, and even how we treat children. It's like, well, yeah, if from a young age as a child, you're not given any rights, you're not given any real freedom, you don't have a voice, you don't have a perspective, you're essentially treated subhuman, then it's normal to respond and react chaotically. Like it's chaos. It's like, what is going on? I can't express and be who I want to be, especially if you're creative like me. Right, you're an artist. You want to express freely. Now, when that's taken away from you, that could be hard to deal with. And I feel like that's the reason why we, in the Fifth Agreement, it was talking about, it's like you go into a movie theater and we create these pictures of ourselves, these identities. It's like we have a movie, right? And then there's a lead character playing the role of your movie. And that character is actually you. And so you go into the theater, you're watching yourself on the TV screen or on the movie screen, and it's just like, oh wow, okay, this is my movie. Like this is how I perceive it. But then say you go into your family's movie, you go into your mom's movie, and your brother's movie, your significant other or whoever, and you see like now your character comes up in their movie, but the portrayal of the character is completely different. And when we look at everyone as being the main character in their own show, right, in their own movie, I think we get to see more of what are our intentions and how we want to be portrayed versus what other people assume about us, and the identity that they have. And I think the biggest thing for me has just been learning to detach from all of that. It doesn't really matter what people portray me as. And I realize some days that can be a little harsher or harder to accept than others, especially when you see how people respond. But the less I'm giving energy towards that, in the long run, I feel like the more beneficial for me. Because how they say everything that's like what's for us is for us, right? And whatever is whatever I'm searching for is searching for me, essentially. So that's kind of like a universal law thing. I feel like it makes me think of law of polarity or reciprocity, right? If that's the case, then there shouldn't be anything that I do like within reason. Of course, if I'm just being myself, I'm embodying like love and light, right? I'm just being illuminated. I'm just being aware and conscious, and I'm going about my day. I'm not hurting nobody, but I'm maybe I'm keeping to myself, or maybe I'm just focused on my goal and my mission, right? The main story. Then it shouldn't subtract anything that's supposed to be a part of that. And I think what happens is that those side quests, right, or even reoccurring characters that's part of the main story, they're going to come in naturally. I'm thinking about Adventure Time because I've been watching that a lot lately. And there's so many amazing lessons I'm just learning, like, dang, this show is crazy. And I really love animation, actually, for that reason. Like animation, anime, different shows and stuff that just have these messages so deep within them. But even when you think about like cartoons as kids, it's like they're really giving like life lessons in such a short format. Like, it's crazy, but it's like if you really pay attention and you look at the deeper aspect of it, it's like, wow, we hold on to these attachments, we hold on to these projections and these assumptions of other people, including ourselves as well, and that is what truly causes us the suffering. So for me, again, revisiting this place of in between and making and embodying the change, right? Like being the change that I want to see. I literally just heard that quote. I'm trying to recall, wait, who did they say that actually said that quote? Being the change that you want to see. It's a very influential person, and I feel like there's multiple people who have reiterated this. But yeah, we talk about revolutionaries and whatnot, right? A lot of times we want to change other people. So even if that comes to like different systems or institutions, and I realized me being at a job that it was amazing, like opportunity, but it wasn't exactly serving the highest version of who I'm meant to be. It did when it first happened and how it transpired, but it's like nothing lasts forever. And I'm thinking about that because like I've been listening to the song by Miguel, where's the fun in forever? Like that's my drink. Where's the fun in forever? And it's like we don't get to enjoy anything for eternity, right? So I think the cool aspect of life and the journey is like when we have this moment, right, this experience, it's like, okay, let me be present in this now. And my presence looks like as soon as I start to notice this is off, like I'm fluid and I'm adaptable, flexible with the change, right? So this isn't working anymore, right, for you. If the people around me are showing me a mirror of the reality, I think that's one thing I actually have done very well. Like I don't take so much offense to that, even the way that I left my hometown, my community, very gracefully of like, like I'm not, y'all don't want me to be around, I'm not helping, I'm not adding value, you want to do your own thing, okay, by all means. And I feel like I'm a bow out gracefully every time, because that is love and that is respect at the end of the day in essence. Love and respect in essence, because I care so much for myself that I don't need to give myself away to just anyone, especially not those who do not value me like I know my value and my worth. So for that reason, I've done that, and I've actually stick to my values, my own personal values of like, I don't need to think or focus too much on the negative or like even formulate how am I gonna respond. It's like, no, if I align within my purpose and my values and I just give energy to that, then that's all it is. And if it's not serving me, I step away from it. And it doesn't need to be too much of an emotional experience, right? Because emotion is energy. It's a very high energy. Actually, it's one of the highest energies we manifest with. From what I know is the emotional energy, right? So the more we charge something and we think about it, we have this feeling, right? That helps our imagination to be like, okay, this is what I want my reality to be. But so many times when we get in this in-between stage, instead of going forward into the new reality, and that's what a lot of like my mind design has been, like listening to people like Neville Goddard too, and thinking about like imagining with the end goal in mind and like my wish being fulfilled. But it's like, it sounds crazy, people like, okay, it sounds woo woo, whatever, like it's spiritual talk, like that sound like nonsense. But it's like, nah, man, anytime you ever done anything, at least for me, Like, especially if you're a winner, if you grew up in organized sports, you're playing football, basketball, it's like, okay, your coach is going to tell you, this is what we're doing, this is our season, this is our first game, but we're going to imagine us winning the championship this year. What are the things that we need to do to get to this championship? How many games do we have this year? Who are our opponents, right? This is what y'all need to be studying. This is what we need to focus on. All this is this energy of like, instead of like ruminating on a path, like the negative, like, oh, what if we don't make it that? This is a positive reflection. This is more of a positive assumption and borderline, like they say, obsession. To be like, yo, I'm invested, I'm attached and like addicted to this positive outcome. And I feel like for me, even being in the martial arts and just loving sports and being an athlete in my own right, when I think about getting out and competing in life, right, it's not about competing with other people. It's about, this is a game and this is my sport. So I have to show up in order to compete. And that being said, I'm in it to win it. You feel me? Like, I'm not gonna be here just to lose. So all the distractions, all the side side quests that's not actually developing my character, at least in the way that I need it to be, I don't have to take that on. I don't have to partake in it at all. I don't have to give it any attention. In fact, I feel like that's the whole point. Like, again, when you're playing a game, a video game, the side quest is optional. So you don't have to go through that side quest. But if you feel like it's going to help you, then that's your choice. And I feel like that's all that reality has been showing me. And so now that I'm in between, if I have a little pause, right, I could take a break, I could take some time, and I could think about, what did I do in the past, right? And I can develop my strategy from what is the game plan for in this moment, even in this year, but like in this moment, what is the game plan that's going to help me get forward and let me align with that outcome. So that's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming the best possible outcome. I appreciate y'all listening to me and tapping in once again. And yeah, it's like we in between, but it's like it's the beginning. And I'm excited because, again, it's been so much growth and progress, and sometimes it's really easy to not acknowledge the growth and the progress, but this is a part of cultivating gratitude and really knowing, like, man, I'm doing the things. And it's like they say, I'm closer to where I'm going than where I started. So it's like, since I'm here, I might as well keep going. Man. So yeah, I appreciate y'all once again. This has been my channel. Feel free to tap in with me, tap in with Ito. Gospel out now. And yeah, man, Ephraim here. And now I'm out. Peace.